Hello, my name is theoliverpickard and welcome to beautiful but very, very chilly Limousin, France. We've just had our first frost of winter. I know some of you further north have had frost for quite a while and I'm quite lucky to live in a place that has a proper winter, but thankfully it's rather short. But still, I thought it was an opportune moment to make a video about the things that you can do to help your classic car survive winter. Now, obviously, I'm going to be taking into consideration 2CVs, but I'm also going to be considering cars that use radiators and stuff like that. Now, we all know the cliche thing that you should carry with you. Things like a blanket, things like your mobile phone, things like a thermos of tea or coffee. This is a really good thermos, by the way, this 720-degree thermos. This isn't a paid promotion. This is one that I literally bought and it's superb. It keeps a cup of coffee warm all day and it doesn't leak. And the reason is, if you have a mechanical problem that you can't sort out with the tools that you keep in your toolkit in your car, then you need to be able to call your call-out provider and you need to be able to sit snugly and warm in your car, have a nice cup of tea, and wait for your call-out person to either come and sort it for you or come and take you to safety. So the very bare minimum that you should have are the recommendations given to you by your insurance provider. However, I have a few more that I'd like to add to that. And they are simple things, but some of them are things that many people don't think about. They are also incredibly economical things and things that I think most of us, if not all of us, should carry in our cars. Even modern cars. Many of these things can be applied to every single car you own, not just your classic. I daily drive my classic through winter, and there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to as well. The first thing, and it's probably the most important thing on this list, but it's to make sure that your car is in excellent fettle before winter. In summer, you can kind of get away with your car not working very well. You know, you can carry around a jump pack with you and you can be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, and I'll just connect my portable jump pack up and jump start my car because my charging system's a bit dicky, or I should replace my battery really, or something like that, you know, my voltage regulator's on the fritz, what have you. And you can kind of get away with it because what's the worst that's going to happen? It's 20 odd degrees. But in winter, that's not acceptable. And the better your car goes into winter, the better it will come out. So you need to make sure before winter that your car is reliable. You need to give it that tune-up that it's sorely needed. The better the condition of your car before winter, the better the condition of your car will be after winter. So things like 2CVs are very sensitive towards dirty gearbox oil. Like, literally, when your gearbox oil needs changing, you will have a bit of a crunchy gearbox, especially going into first gear. It will get noisy, and you really need to change that gearbox oil then. And in winter, all of your fluids thicken up. That sounds a bit odd, but it's true. All your, like, literally all your oils and everything all thickens up. Oil doesn't freeze, but it does get incredibly thick, which means your car takes longer to warm up, and so does your gearbox. And if your gearbox oil is slightly dirty, add that to the thickening of like cold gearbox oil, and you'll end up potentially doing damage to your gearbox because your gearbox isn't lubricating properly. But you also may find yourself not being able to get into first gear and drive away. You know, it's an actual problem. And if you are waiting to change your gearbox oil, now is the time, before winter. If you're going to give her a service now, because through the winter months you're not really going to want to do it. You just want to be able to do the minor little things that you need to keep on top of. Other things like carrying some start pilot with you. I know in a lot of countries it's illegal to have your car on the street idling and warming up these days, and you need to be able to get your car going super quick in the morning and warm it up. So one of the things that you can use, rather than sitting there and going you can actually pop a little bit of start pilot in your intake and your car will start straight up if it's in good condition. I will say, as far as rust and stuff like that goes, as far as protecting your car from the salt, the best thing to do is to have a well-painted chassis. The best thing to do is to go over everything that's metal and it, like all your steering arms and all that, and paint it with a greasy paintbrush, basically. Just, you know, standard waterproof grease. Paint everything up thinly, and you can also use stuff like wax oil on your chassis. If everything's well painted and you've got no rust there to begin with, wax oil it all up, and that will stop the salt getting into your chassis. You can also kind of periodically jet wash your car underneath. Don't be too brutal on your joints, on all your joints of your steering and stuff like that. If you are, then you need to re-grease them after every time you jet wash. That's my advice, always, anyway. If you do jet wash your car, always re-grease all your suspension nipples and all that after jet washing, because jet washing can be quite brutal and it can blow the grease out of joints and stuff like that. So any ungated joint, make sure that it's well lubricated. A product I'm a fan of for chassis and stuff like that is this stuff. This is called Galvanize, and it's basically, if you have galvanized gutters, the top broke the other day, if you have galvanized gutters on your car, if you have zinc coated gutters, this is the spray paint that after you cut the gutter, you spray the edge with. The reason I like this stuff is obviously it's very corrosion resistant. It's galvanized in a tin, but also it's a pale colour. So if it does rust, you can see it. Whereas if everything's painted black, you know, Hammerite can be good stuff, but dark colours on chassis I'm not a big fan of, because you can't see corrosion, you can't see problems. It's the reason why all rally cars have like white painted engine bays, is so that if there's a problem, you can see it. Same with your chassis, in my opinion. A lighter colour is a better colour. And the reason why I like this spray over kind of a paintbrush and painting it with a paintbrush is that this can actually get into, if you have a little hole or anything like that, if you have a tube like on an early 2CV, you have a tube, well, two tubes that run through the chassis that are your outriggers for your chassis, and you can actually paint the inside of your chassis outriggers with this stuff. You can get into chassis legs and things like that, and so it's galvanized, it's very corrosion resistant, and if you paint, obviously if it's all clean, tidy, and you do a really good paint job with this stuff, it really lasts. It's very corrosion resistant, and like I say, you can get into tiny little nooks and crannies and holes and stuff that you normally can't get into with a paintbrush, with a spray like this. So if your chassis is all well painted, if it's all rust free, if it's all lovely, if you've, you know, painted inside voids and stuff with this stuff, because things tend to rust from the inside out, so you've gone over any edges and anything with this, and then you wax oil your chassis, I don't see any reason why your chassis shouldn't survive winter perfectly unscathed. What about other things? What about things slightly further up the body? Things like door seals and rubber seals. Well, I know that doors can actually freeze shut. If you have slightly dodgy rubber seals, then obviously a bit of damp can get in and your door can actually freeze itself shut so you can't get in your car. And a friend of mine came up from Nice the other day and he had a leaky windscreen seal, and he'd ordered a new one but it hadn't arrived yet in time for his trip. So he'd driven up in the rain, and we've just had torrential rain for ages. So when he arrived in the cruise, he had a rather damp leg, and I told him to use this stuff. This is Vaseline. Vaseline is an absolute godsend. It's available in every chemist and every supermarket, and if you have a slightly dodgy rubber seal, obviously putting Vaseline on it is not as good as replacing that seal with a proper seal. But if you are caught out, if you have ordered a seal and it's not available yet and you are waiting to get it or something like that, or you want to make sure that your doors don't freeze shut during winter, Vaseline is absolutely fantastic. You can also put it on your battery terminals to stop your battery terminals furring up. It's one of the things that nobody thinks about and is super cheap and super easy, and it's brilliant. Vaseline's also hydrophobic, by the way, which is why it helps rubber seals to seal. So if you have an old soft top that has slightly dodgy door seals or anything like that, regularly applying Vaseline, because it doesn't last forever, of course, but regularly applying Vaseline can be an absolute godsend, and it can help stop water ingress into your car. Another Vaseline product I recommend is Vaseline oil. This is 3-in-1 Vaseline oil, comes in a little thing. This stuff is perfect for stopping your door locks freezing. Many classic cars have door locks that are on a slight angle, and so water can get into the door lock and freeze, and it's an absolute pain. And you go to get in your car and you can't put your key in your door, and then you end up forcing it in, and there are many people every single winter that actually break their keys trying to force their key into a frozen door lock. Beforehand, obviously, preparation is always better than cure. That is the theme of this video. But if you dab a little, just a tiny bit of Vaseline oil in each of your door locks and your fuel cap and stuff before winter, and every now and then, like once a month during winter, your door locks will never freeze. You will never have a problem. One of my other recommendations, and it's a must for all 2CVs, is a grill muff. This grill muff fits onto your grill, and below 10 degrees, every single 2CV and Diane and AMI 6, AMI 8, GS should be rolling around with a grill muff on below 10 degrees. I've actually taken this off my car to film this video. But a grill muff is not just an air-cooled Citroen thing. It's actually a great idea for water-cooled cars as well. Because obviously, if you have an engine-driven fan, as you're driving down the road, your engine-driven fan is going to be blasting your car's engine with freezing cold air, which can mean your carburetors can freeze. It will mean that your oil doesn't stay warm. In fact, if you're using an aftermarket oil cooler on your car, your car's going to be super freezing, and your oil might not be working properly in your engine. So it's a really good idea to actually fit a grill muff even to water-cooled cars. It makes your heater better, it makes everything better, and it means that your car is functioning in optimum temperatures. Also, one of the coolest things I've ever seen is an old Bentley Continental with a grill muff on and driving lights in the middle of winter. It looks super cool. So it's actually a really fun little accessory you can have for your car in winter. It's kind of awesome, and one of the coolest things that you can turn up with to the New Year's meet is a grill muff on your car. Obviously, you should never, under any circumstances, have water in your radiator during winter. You should use the correct coolant for your car, but also the correct coolant for the temperatures. So if you're using like a summer coolant, check the information on the coolant bottle that it came with about temperatures, because if you are running just plain water in your car, it will freeze and it will crack your engine block. Don't do it. It's one of the worst things that you can do, is to have just water in your radiator. Water sucks at cooling cars, but it also sucks in winter because it can destroy your engine. So please, if you've just got like distilled water in your radiator, please go out there and get the correct, if your engine is aluminium, remember you have to use aluminium safe coolant, but go out there and find a coolant that will work in the functional temperatures that you live in during winter, and also is good for your engine. There are a bunch of aftermarket coolant companies out there, companies like Evans and stuff, who will be absolutely happy to advise you and help you find the correct coolant for the period of your car, the temperatures in which you'll be driving in, and that will help you save your engine and keep your engine nice. That's enough talk of water, because water in engines is crazy. It'll never catch on. What else have we got? Well, we've also got Rain-X. Rain-X is wicked stuff. I've advised you all to use Rain-X in the past. Rain-X is a liquid wax that you put on your windows. It's great for any car that has flat glass. So for instance, a 2CV has flat side windows, and when you pull up to a junction and it's raining, you cannot see toffee out the side window. I put it on the insides of my windows and the outsides because it stops my windows steaming up in winter. So it means I don't need a demister. The windscreen demister in Jolene works really well. It's also super noisy and I hate using it. I put it on the inside, I put it on the outside. It's absolutely brilliant stuff and it's well worth the money. Rain-X do also make a spray. I've never used it. This bottle of Rain-X is the same bottle of Rain-X that was in my last video. That was Classic Car Hacks. It's an absolutely superb product. I've never used the spray, like I say, and a bottle, I think this was €7 or something. This is classic Rain-X. It stops the rain sticking to your windows. It stops your windows misting up. It's absolutely great stuff. Speaking of windscreens and windows and stuff like that, I always keep a bottle of window cleaner in my car, along with a microfiber towel. And the reason is, in the slush and muck and goo of winter, trucks, vans and stuff spray horribleness onto your windows. You know, it's airborne when you're driving on roads and it's gooey and it's slushy and it's wet, and it goes all over your windscreen. And it doesn't cut it just to use water, and it doesn't cut it just to use your windscreen wipers. So I make sure I use a proper windscreen detergent or window detergent. I actually bought this window cleaner stuff on my way home from buying Jolene. This lives in my car, as do several microfiber towels, because if one gets dirty, I've got another one. And if you have a windscreen washer bottle, if you have a sprayer, don't use water in it. If you don't have water in your windscreen washer bottle, it's actually illegal and it's actually a finable offence. So if you do have a windscreen washer bottle, what should you put into it? Well, you shouldn't use water because water freezes. Even if your engine's nice and warm and your windscreen washer bottle is inside your engine bay and it's nice and liquid and warm, when you spray it, it sprays onto your windscreen and it freezes because your windscreen is freezing. Unless you use proper winter windscreen washer bottle fluid. Windscreen washer bottle fluid, windscreen washer sprayer fluid, whatever, on your windows. This is available from your local motor factors or whatever. Many supermarkets sell it and it's very easily picked up. It's not very expensive, but what it means is that when, you know, Jolene lives in the slow lane, obviously, but it means that when a car or a truck pull in front of you and they spray crud all over your windscreen, and you turn your windscreen wipers on and it just smears it all over your windscreen, you press that sprayer, you will be able to see. That's why it's the law. It's the law to have windscreen washer fluid or water or something in your windscreen washer bottle. But in winter, you need to use this stuff because water just won't cut it. Another thing that keeps you safe is obviously your lights. And during winter, you tend to drive a lot with your lights on, which is why I fitted LED lights to Jolene, because I am bright, I'm visible, and I'm now seen. But driving with your lights on, if you have a car with a dynamo, means that you tend to use a little more fuel than you normally would. And even if it's a fuel injection car, your car will use more fuel because during winter, air is denser. That dense, cold air requires more fuel. So please make sure you carry a jerry can full of fuel. It doesn't have to be a very big jerry can full of fuel, but often 2CVs have terribly inaccurate fuel gauges anyway. Jolene's is not the best. So I carry year-round a jerry can of fuel in my boot. This is a little tiny 5-litre one, and I have a jerry can strap. The reason for my jerry can strap, this actually, I made this out of some old yacht rigging. The reason I have a jerry can strap is the last thing you want is your jerry can bouncing around in your boot and leaking. You don't want raw fuel in your car, obviously, so the best thing that you can do is safely fit a jerry can strap. They're not expensive, or you can make one, but have a nicely stored, safely stored can of fuel in your boot just in case. And that will make sure that you don't run out of fuel, that you don't get stranded, that you don't have to call Mr. RAC. And it's just a super simple little thing that you can do that will save you and your car during winter. Another thing that saves you and your car is being in control. And I strongly suggest out there that you invest in a pair of driving gloves. These are my driving gloves. They are black and they are leather. And I do need a pair of brown driving gloves. I'd like a pair of brown fingerless driving gloves, because sometimes you're wearing brown shoes and your black driving gloves don't go with your brown shoes, and I'm a bit of a tart. But driving gloves are a lovely thing. They're a lovely accessory, and they're a lovely gift for the classic car owner in your life as you come to Christmas. A really nice pair of driving gloves are a beautiful accessory to own. They're a beautiful thing to wear, especially if they're very nicely made driving gloves. And like I say, sometimes you need a pair of full-fingered driving gloves, sometimes you need a pair of half-fingered driving gloves. So one can never have too many pairs of nice driving gloves. You probably can, but if you're a lady driver out there, or if you have a lady driver in your life, she may want a nice pair of driving gloves that match her shoes. So there we go. That's a good Christmas gift for classic car owners. But a beautiful quality pair of driving gloves is not just a nice accessory. It's not just a bit of tartiness and showing off. It's actually a really valuable safety tool for your car, because not only do I have a steel steering wheel, which is absolutely freezing when I get in my car in winter, but actually a pair of leather driving gloves afford me greater control over my car. They afford better feel, better steering wheel grip. They stop the steering wheel getting, if you hit a stone that's under the snow, they stop the steering wheel getting snatched out of your hand. You have greater control over your vehicle, which is why racing drivers wear gloves. And it's why it's a minimum thing, by the way. If you're going track driving and stuff like that, in many countries, you have to wear a helmet and a pair of gloves. Gloves are super important, and a good pair of driving gloves in winter is essential, which is why it's such a good Christmas gift. The next point of control after your hands and the steering wheel is of course the road, which brings me to my final but possibly the most essential bit of kit you can have in your car or on your car during the winter months, and that is a pair of winter tyres. These are Michelin X M&S's. M&S stands for mud and snow, and they are beastie. This is basically off-road tyres for a 2CV, and they are superb. They're available from your classic tyre specialist. They're a little more expensive than your standard pair of tyres, but they will lengthen the life of your standard tyres, because obviously you take standard wheels off and you put your nice winter wheels on. These winter wheels are a bit gooey and a bit gross, and they look a bit tatty, and that's because their job is to get covered in salt and snow and goo and awfulness and save my nice wheels for nice. And these tyres only get fitted while there's snow on the roads and while it's kind of very inclement and very awful. But when they're not on the car, they get stowed in a nice, dark, dry place that's not too warm. Ugh. But they're absolutely valuable. They're not massively popular in the UK, winter tyres, which is I've always found quite shocking, because we can have really bad winters in the UK, and we get very bad winters here in the Limousin as well. Not as bad as some places in France though. But they are truly an essential bit of kit for your car during the winter, and well worth it. So those are my winter tips. Do you have any winter tips for me? Is there anything I've missed off this list? Is there anything that you'd like to share with everyone who watches these videos? If you have, please leave them down in the comments below. While you're down there, you might as well click like if you enjoyed this video. It lets me know that you enjoyed the video, but it also lets YouTube know that I exist and gets these videos recommended to other people, which, if you have friends who also drive classic cars and who have been asking about keeping their car nice through winter, you can send them this video. If you're interested in my LED lights and stuff, there'll be a link at the end of this one. At the end of this video, there'll be a little thing in a window, and there'll also be a button with my face on it. That is a subscribe button, so if you want to subscribe, you can click my face. You can also click the subscribe button, which is across from the share and like buttons down below. Thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.